The debate around population control in a sizable country such as India is not a new one. This has raged for decades and will continue to do so for a long time to come. As of July 2020, India's population was estimated to be around 1.38 billion, second only to China. Even during the independence movement, family planning was something that was raised and discussed in the Congress Party deliberations at the time. The National Planning Committee of the Congress Party then, which included Jawaharlal Nehru and Subhash Chandra Bose, in 1937 had advocated limiting the number of children, quote, in the interests of social economy, family happiness and national planning, stop quote. In his academic paper from 1966, The Development of India's Policy of Population Control, T.J. Samuel writes that in the first 4 years of India's independence, the issue of population control took a backseat while the administration of the day was more preoccupied with rehabilitating 7 million refugees from Pakistan and framing the country's constitution. It was on the 11th of April 1951 that a committee on population growth and family planning was appointed to devise a policy. In 1951, India's population stood at 361.1 million. That grew to 1.21 billion by 2011, and another census was due in 2021, but the COVID-19 pandemic has ensured that the process this time will be delayed. Over the decades, India's population growth rate has gradually decreased. The highest growth rate was between 1961 to 1971 and then 1971 to 1981, where the population across the country grew by 24%. Even between 1991 to 2001, the population in India grew by 21.5%. Since then, there's been a fall. Between 2001 to 2011, it was down to 17.7% and is projected to fall to around 12.6% between 2011 and 2021 as per reports. But overpopulation does remain a concern. During his Independence Day speech in 2019, Prime Minister Narendra Modi spoke about it in no uncertain terms.
हमारे यहाँ बेतहाशा जो जनसंख्या विस्फोट हो रहा है, ये जनसंख्या विस्फोट हमारे लिए, हमारी आने वाली पीढ़ी के लिए अनेक नए संकट पैदा करता है। लेकिन ये बात मानना होगा कि हमारे देश में एक जागरूक वर्ग है जो इस बात को भली भांति समझता है। वे अपने घर में शिशु को जन्म देने से पहले भली भांति सोचता है कि मैं कहीं उसके साथ अन्याय तो नहीं कर दूंगा। जिन लोगों ने ये बहुत बड़ी भूमिका अदा की है, उनके सम्मान की आवश्यकता है और उन्हीं के प्रयासों के उदाहरण लेकर के समाज के बाकी वर्ग जो अभी भी इससे बाहर है, उनको जोड़ करके जनसंख्या विस्फोट इसकी हमें चिंता करनी ही होगी।
When a petition had been filed in the Supreme Court last year seeking the court's intervention to introduce a law to enforce family planning in India to control population growth, the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare responded saying, and I quote, "The family welfare program in India is voluntary in nature, which enables couples to decide the size of their family and family planning methods best suited to them. In fact, international experience shows that any coercion to have a certain number of children is counterproductive and leads to demographic distortions." Stop quote. The centre had then reiterated that India's population growth rate was reducing with each decade, that there's been a decline in fertility rates, that the National Health Policy of 2017 was very much on track and was confident of achieving its objectives of population stabilization. There are some estimates that India's population will rise to 1.52 billion by 2036. The total fertility rate, which is the average number of live childbirths a woman will have in her life, stood at 5.9 in 1950 and has fallen to 2.24 in 2020. The National Health Policy aims to stabilize this to 2.1 by 2025. The State Law Commission in Uttar Pradesh has promulgated a draft bill, the Uttar Pradesh Population Control, Stabilization and Welfare Bill 2021, and invited feedback from the public until July 19 this year. In essence, it incentivizes those families who have 2 children or less, provides more incentives for those with just 1 child, and disincentivizes or bars from entitlement to several welfare benefits those who have more than 2 children. The bill has already generated much debate.
मेरा एक बहुत स्पष्ट दृष्टिकोण है कि जब इनका एक प्रारूप ऑर्डिनेंस का या प्रारूप बिल का तैयार हो जाएगा, उसको पढ़ लेने के बाद, इनकी मंशा जाहिर होने के बाद हम इस पर प्रतिक्रिया जाहिर करेंगे। जहाँ तक वो लोगों की पोर्टल पर राय मांग रहे हैं तो पहले अपनी पार्टी में मांग लें, अपने नेताओं से बात कर लें जो 10 बच्चे पैदा करने को, 12 बच्चे और 5 बच्चे पैदा करने की बात कर रहे हैं, वो हमसे क्या पूछ रहे हैं?
आदित्यनाथ जी शायद दुनिया की और भारत की पॉपुलेशन संबंधित जो नीति का इतिहास है उनको शायद जानकारी नहीं है। पहले उनको जानकारी लेना चाहिए। ये बिल गरीबों को अपनी गरीबी की सजा देने वाली बिल है। ये बच्चों के अधिकारों के ऊपर एक जबरदस्त हमला है। ये महिलाओं के अधिकारों के ऊपर भी हमला है। तो इसलिए ये बिल्कुल गलत बिल है और हम इसका विरोध करते हैं।
भाजपा हमेशा देश के बारे में सोचने वाला पार्टी है, इंडिविजुअल इंटरेस्ट के काम करने वाला पार्टी नहीं है। हम काम करेंगे तो देश हित करने के लिए काम करेंगे। मोदी जी भी वही कर रहा है, योगी जी भी वही कर रहा है। देश हित के कारण असम और यूपी में बिल लाने का चर्चा कर रहा है। हम लोग स्वागत करता हूँ। ये बिल अच्छा बिल है। सारे प्रदेश में, केवल बीजेपी सरकार सत्ता में है उस प्रदेश में नहीं है, केरल में सोचने का बिल है, केरल में भी सोचना चाहिए।
As far as disincentives go, not only do those who have more than 2 children lose out on the incentives, there's also revocation of benefits as well as choices entailed in the bill. There have been some exemptions read into the bill, and the bill, if it does pass in the assembly once introduced, will only come into effect 1 year after it has been published in the Gazette. But the polity in Uttar Pradesh is divided. The Chief Minister of Uttar Pradesh, Yogi Adityanath, has spoken out in favor of the draft law, but some sections of the opposition have said that this is a law that is targeted at Muslims, even as there is no specific reference to any religion in the proposed legislation.
भारतीय जनता पार्टी और आरएसएस से जुड़े हुए तमाम नेताओं के ऐसे बयान हैं जो अक्सर पेशतर ये देखने को मिला कि कभी कहते हैं मुसलमान बच्चे ज़्यादा पैदा करते हैं, कभी कहते हैं मुसलमान आबादी बढ़ा रहे हैं, कभी कहते हैं कि मुसलमान इतनी आबादी बढ़ा लेंगे कि वो देश पे काबिज हो जाएंगे, कभी कहते हैं हिंदुओं होशियार हो जाओ, तुमको सत्ता से बेदखल कर दिया जाएगा। कभी किसी मुसलमान ने ये बात कही कि कोई हिंदू आबादी बढ़ा रहा है? मैं तो ये कहता हूँ कि जो कानून लेकर आए हैं, अगर ये कानून कांग्रेस अपने ज़माने में लेकर आ गई होती तो आज जो बहुत से लोग ख्वाब देख रहे हैं और मुसलमानों को गालियाँ बकते हैं, मुसलमानों के बारे में ऑल फॉल बातें करते हैं, जनसंख्या कानून बिल का समर्थन करते हैं, इनमें से न जाने कितने नेता तो ऐसे होते हैं जिनके माँ बाप उनको पैदा ही ना कर पाए होते।
Well, I don't know it is aimed at Muslim, but it's true that the Muslim community has a higher fertility. Data shows very clearly they are 10 years behind the rest of India, and for very different reasons. The educational accomplishment of Muslims is very low. Their gross enrollment rate in Indian colleges is only 5.2% of students for a population which is 15%. SC, ST 16.6% population, 14% is their enrollment. For ST 8.8, 5.9. And for backward communities, 40% is population share, 36% in colleges. They're not educating their young girls, even though in the last 7 years, the enrollment for girls has gone up by about 7.9%. Boys, I think 7.6% is improving. It will incentivize the Muslim community to educate their children and possibly have lesser children. I think, I don't know whether people will be right in saying it's targeting, but the fact is the Muslim community has a greater fertility, more children. And of course, within the community itself, there'll be enough people with only 2 children. It's not that everybody is having more children, but I won't say in passing that it is not right to say that targeting Muslims.
S.Y. Qureshi, the former Chief Election Commissioner and author of the book, The Population Myth, Islam, Family Planning and Politics in India, has also criticized the draft law.
Yogi Adityanath has been in power for the last 4.5 years. Now, suddenly he discovered that population control is an issue. And just when he's in the election mode, right now a political meeting is happening, all kinds of political electoral activity has started, and suddenly he thinks of population control. Obviously, the agenda is communal polarization. There has been a right-wing propaganda for a long time, for years, that Hindu khatre mein, because Muslims are producing too many children, and they will soon overtake the Hindu population. That is the propaganda which creates hate in the mind of the Hindus. So we all know it, and very top leaders also have been saying, "Hum 5 hamare 25, hum 4 hamare 40." And I would challenge them that show me in the whole country of 138 crore million, one Muslim family which fits this description. Hum 5 hamare 25. Now, you will remember that during the emergency of 1975 to 77, Sanjay Gandhi imposed family planning very coercively. And as a result, there was such a backlash that the Congress party lost that election and hasn't recovered fully since then. Coercive measures, as I pointed out, and actually a study was done by a very senior IAS officer, Mrs. Nirmala Butch in Madhya Pradesh, of 5 states, where they found when states like Rajasthan, Haryana, and Madhya Pradesh introduced this scheme that anybody who has more than 2 children cannot contest for panchayat election. So people started divorcing their wives because, you divorce your wife, she goes away with her 3 or 4 children, and suddenly you become a bachelor, and then you start afraid. That kind of a fraud actually happened. Secondly, the female feticide increased. The sex ratio, which was already poor in India, particularly of the young people, has come down from 938 to 914 or 15. So it will be very disastrous for women.
The issue of religious demographics in India is also often part of the political discourse in the country. Historically, the fertility rate within the Muslim community in India has been higher, and this has been attributed to higher levels of poverty and lower levels of literacy and education, though this is changing and the fertility gap between Muslims and Hindus has been falling.
The impression created is that if a Hindu family has 2 children, Muslims have 10. Whereas I have shown from a book that this is the book that at no point the difference between Hindu population, Hindu fertility and Muslim fertility was more than 1 child. Not 2 versus 8 or 2 versus 10, it was 2 versus 3 or 3 versus 4. To be 1.1 to be precise, but which also has come down to 0.48, less than half a child, because Muslims in the last 30 years have adopted family planning very aggressively and faster than the Hindus, which is why the gap has narrowed down. The determining factors, the factors which determine fertility behavior are actually mainly 3. There are more, but mainly 3. Literacy, particularly of girls. As the literacy goes up, number of children goes down across our community. Similarly, as the income goes up, number of children goes down. And third is service delivery. Contraceptives should be available, there should be doctors. As the service delivery improves, the number of children goes down. Unfortunately, Muslims are the most backward in all 3. But let us remember, the second most backward are the Hindus, which is why they are the right next.
I think it's a good start. Because, the whole of South India has a fertility rate of 1.7. West Bengal is 1.6. Punjab is 1.6. UP, I think, is 2.6. Bihar is 3.2, and Rajasthan is 2.4. I think it's a good start, because we do have a problem of certain communities having more children because women are not educated, and certain communities having lesser number of children. The delta, which was 30% some 10 years back, is now, I'm told, come to 25, 27%. It has to come down. So my opinion is that this bill and this law will focus attention on the need to have not more than 2 children for everybody. And of course, government is spending an enormous amount of money giving benefits. People can contest elections. And if you link that to the incentives, I think it's a good idea to start.
While the Uttar Pradesh draft law certainly extends the ambit of population control or a 2-child policy by extending it to the general public, there are other laws in place in several states in India which debar individuals who have more than 2 children from contesting local body polls, for instance. The UP draft law stands out for its scope and magnitude of coverage. Assam, under its new Chief Minister Himanta Biswa Sarma, is also mulling a similar approach.
You cannot have population control in a country like India only by disincentive. There has to be an incentive, there has to be a education empowerment, there has to be a financial inclusion, there has to be a health consciousness, then only you will have the population control. But while doing so, you need to have a measured degree of disincentive also. So our population policy, which was passed in Assam Assembly, this is a cocktail of both incentive and disincentive. So it is not entirely based on disincentive. I fully agree with the view of Adaraniya Nitish ji that you need incentive, you need awareness, you need empowerment also.
Is the Uttar Pradesh draft bill, however, coercive, and is the act of incentivizing or disincentivizing, as opposed to penal action or, for that matter, compensation, amounting to coercion?
Coercion, there's no coercion here. Remember, in this bill, they say you will not be eligible for government benefits. That's all. There's no coercion. This is not like the emergency of Sanjay Gandhi when they did Nasbandi to people by force, right? That is not there. This is an incentive-driven program. But there are 2 or 3 things that have to be done along with this. Passing a law is not enough. One, there has to be a massive increase in the girl child's education. All girls should get mandatory education till class 12 and encouraged to go to college, so that the enrollment rate in the North Indian states will go up. You'll be surprised, even in Kerala, which people in the media say is an advanced state, the gross enrollment rate for the Muslim community is only 21-22%. For the whole of Kerala is 36%. So it is pathetic there, even in Kerala. So there is a problem in the lack of education in the Muslim community. So I think it has to be done. So we have to increase the girl child's education capabilities, open more girls' schools, girls' colleges in UP and in the North Indian state. That's one. Second, we need to bring a law, the Indian Human Right to Equality Act, so that personal laws do not discriminate against women. We know that for the Hindu community, the personal laws have been amended since 1956. And today, women and men now got equal rights, more or less. Where the Muslim community, their personal law discriminate against the Muslim community. And Muslim men can marry 4 times. And many of them, from whatever reports you read in the media, do have multiple wives.
Some incentives have been there, even in existing family planning program. A few 100 rupees or maybe 1,000 rupees. But that is for the poor people and to compensate for their wage loss. When they come for the operation, they lose a day. So it is basically with that intention and nothing more than that. Now, incentives and disincentives, it has been proved by experience worldwide, are always counterproductive. And voluntary work through education and through persuasion is the best way forward, which is what we have already demonstrated in our own country. The fact is that even in Assam, 2.1 is the replacement ratio. They've come down to 1.5 or 1.6. So most states have done extremely well. And now, since the effort is made to make it a Hindu versus Muslim issue, let me also give you one more figure. There are 22 states in the country where Muslims' TFR is lower than of the Hindus of Bihar. Now, if religion was a factor, all over the country, Muslims will be producing too many children. Why have they improved? Because the socio-economic conditions in those 22 states are better than the conditions in Bihar or in UP.
Some states in India have done better than others in controlling their populations, and the debate will rage on as to whether legislation is the best way forward or the implementation of the national health policy, as well as increasing education and awareness to meet the objectives that have been enumerated.
There is a national population policy of 2000, which is in operation, which is all voluntary. In fact, only last year, Government of India had given an affidavit in the Supreme Court and said that the Our Family Planning program is entirely voluntary, which is the right thing to do. And it has said that any compulsive and coercive measures are counterproductive. All that they need to do, follow your own affidavit, Government of India's affidavit. They've said the right things in that affidavit. You should follow that.